CBS Atlanta News presents Public Affairs on Peach.
So how do you teach kids that gangs are bad, especially in a country that's overrun with gang violence? And did you know more than 12,000 police officers in the United States are trained to go into schools and teach elementary and middle schoolers about gang prevention? What's more, they go to other parts of the world to train police officers there on how to prevent gangs in their neighborhood. It's all part of the GREAT program. And today on Public Affairs on Peach, we are going to put the spotlight on the GREAT program and the GREAT Foundation. And a good Sunday morning to you. I'm Tony McNary, and for the next 30 minutes, we are going to talk about gang prevention and education and training from the perspective of law enforcement and students, and those who want to make sure kids have the tools and skills to stay safe when they are not with you. Now, the GREAT Foundation is dedicated to providing gang resistance education and training to elementary and middle school students, and currently the GREAT program reaches about 450,000 children in 1,200 communities. Now, it started back in 1991 as a pilot program in Phoenix, Arizona, and earlier this year officers took a trip to South America to educate police officers there on how to prevent gang recruitment in their neighborhoods. Why did you join?
¿Y por qué razón te juntaste con ellos?
Con mi hermano.
Because of my brothers.
Mataron a mi dos hermanos.
¿Cómo?
Mataron a mi dos hermanos.
Oh, they killed his brother.
Now, he's just one of the gang members we spoke to in South America. Now, gangs there and in America, right here, even in Georgia, recruit children as young as 8 years old.
What they do, they have the young kids peddle their drugs for them, because if I find a child with drugs, they know that at the age of 8 years old, they cannot be charged for anything. And so then they use the children to do a lot of their dirty work.
And it's sad that they are using the children to do the dirty work. Joining me right now is Vanessa McLemore. She is on the board of directors for the GREAT Foundation, which is the financial arm of the GREAT program. And I have to say, she also recruited me as a board member of the foundation. Welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, we'll get into the GREAT program here in a few minutes, but first, let's talk a bit about your background. 25 years of law enforcement, right?
Correct. 25 years of federal law enforcement with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, known as ATF.
Mm-hmm. And you reached a milestone with the organization, right? You were first female African-American to be special agent in charge?
That's correct. The first African-American female special agent to become a supervisor, a special agent in charge, and senior executive service rank.
So you know about guns and violence?
Yes, I do. Unfortunately, I do.
Tell me why and how did you get involved with the GREAT program?
I became involved with the GREAT program back in 1991, really, when it first started. It was with ATF and the Phoenix Police Department that it was developed. And at the time, I worked in Detroit, Michigan, and one of the officers would contact me to get information about gangs and how we were doing gang investigations in Detroit. And from there, I just stayed close with the program. And through the years, I was always a strong advocate of the GREAT program because of the service that it provides to the children and to the community. And as special agent in charge, I would often sponsor GREAT training for the police officers in the cities that I was a special agent in charge for.
Okay. And prior to you telling me about the GREAT program, and when we participated in the event that was at Turner Field for was it the 50th anniversary?
The 20th anniversary.
The 20th anniversary,
yes.
Right, 20 years, 20th anniversary. I'm trying to age the program.
I'm not that old.
When I got involved, prior to that, I had never heard of the GREAT program, and to me, I thought immediately about DARE.
Correct.
For those who don't know, tell us the difference between the GREAT program and the DARE program. What sets the GREAT program apart?
The GREAT program is different in that it is completely research-based, and all of the statistics, all of the data is done by professional psychologists, sociologists, researchers, and criminologists, and together they do research on the history of gangs, the history of youth, where is it that the person first started becoming involved in gangs or could be involved in gangs. So it's very heavily research based, and it's based on school curriculum. So the program is certified, and it is taught in the schools by trained certified police officers.
And the focus isn't just on gangs per se, right? It's also about making lifestyle choices.
Correct. In fact, it focuses more so on life skill development, to give children the opportunity to understand how to make positive decisions, how to use good judgment, how to communicate with their peers and with adults, how to deal with conflict resolution. All of these components end up educating them on how to stay away from gang involvement and from delinquent behavior.
Okay, now that's the GREAT program. Let's talk about the GREAT Foundation, and this is one of the recent pamphlets that was created. Why is the foundation important for the program?
The foundation is critical for the GREAT program. It's going to be the financial base to sustain the program in the long run. Currently, the GREAT program is funded by the federal government, but as we know, funding tends to fall off in every capacity, and the same thing is happening with the GREAT program. So the foundation was developed to raise funding to support the program and the officers and the children that are in the GREAT program.
Wow, and you guys just, thanks to you in part, that the foundation just was awarded its first grant.
Yes, and we do send a big thank you to Motorola because they did in fact award us with a $100,000 grant to help support and sustain the GREAT program. So we're really appreciative to Motorola for that.
Well, and that sounds like a lot, but when you think about the traveling, the training for the officers, the hotels, the airfare, the material, that money will go fast. So
True.
People need to get involved. What can people do if they want to get involved?
If someone wants to get involved with the GREAT program, they can access the GREAT Foundation website at greatfoundationinc.org. And once they access our website, on there is the link for the donation form. They can donate through PayPal. They can donate with a hard copy and a check. They can make themselves feel much better by contributing to the success of our youth by donating to the GREAT Foundation.
Well, now with your federal law enforcement background, you know, and you tell me you guys usually deal with these hardened criminals, guns, violence, and they're usually older, or do you tend to see more younger children, or I say younger children versus adults, teenagers? What do you normally see?
From a federal standpoint, it's typically an adult. The youngest age I think we ever encountered was probably around 17, 18, because we did focus on felonies and adult crime.
Okay, good, good. Thank you for being with us today. Coming up next, we will sit down with some special guests who are often faced with tough decisions about gangs, violence, and bullying. Their words straight from their mouths when we get back.